Some albums are full of good songs, but choose the wrong ones as singles. In this video, we'll look at 8 great albums with bad singles. Reputation by Taylor Swift. When Taylor Swift released Reputation in 2017, she was at a pivotal moment in her career. The album was a departure from her earlier pop hits, diving into darker, edgier production. While it was an instant success when it was released, the single choices raised eyebrows. The lead single, Look What You Made Me Do, was a polarizing track. You either love it or hate it. Its biting lyrics and music video grabbed headlines, but many felt it failed to showcase the album's depth. But album tracks like New Year's Day showcased Taylor's emotional storytelling, so the lead single was not really a good introduction to the album. Ready For It followed as the second single, doubling down on the aggressive tone. While it fit the album's revenge narrative, it lacked the infectious appeal of previous hits like Shake It Off. Reputation featured tracks that were both radio-friendly and emotionally resonant, such as Getaway Car and I Did Something Bad, which could have captured a broader audience, but they were not chosen as singles, even though they remain fan favorites. Ultimately, Reputation is a great album that suffered from a bad single rollout. The singles painted it as angry, revenge-filled project, which overshadowed the nuanced storytelling and emotional depth found in the rest of the track list. If you ask a Taylor fan, it is one of the best albums in her discography. Charm Bracelets by Mariah Carey. Mariah Carey's Charm Bracelet arrived in 2002 at a challenging time in her career. Following the highly publicized struggles surrounding glitter, the album showcased a softer side of Mariah, filled with heartfelt ballads and subtle R&B influences. However, its single choices failed to highlight its strongest qualities. The lead single, Through the Rain, was a powerful ballad, but it didn't fully capture the diversity or contemporary edge of the album, and it couldn't revive Mariah's commercial momentum. The follow-up single, Boy I Need You, featuring Cameron, was an attempt to appeal to a younger audience, but it was underwhelming. Tracks like The One and Subtle Invitation, which blended the Jermaine Dupri production with Mariah's classic sound, could have bridged the gap between her loyal fan base and newer listeners. Charm Bracelet remains a divisive album in Mariah's discography, often underrated for its nuanced and personal songwriting. With a more strategic single rollout, the album might have reclaimed her status as a commercial force while showcasing her artistic growth. Instead, the chosen singles struggled to connect, overshadowing the album's undeniable gems, but it set up the sounds that would revive her career with the emancipation of Mimi in 2005. Glory by Britney Spears. Britney Spears' Glory is often regarded as a return to form, showcasing her versatility after a string of uneven releases. The album was a blend of R&B, pop, and electronic music. Despite its strengths, the single choices failed to reflect the album's brilliance. The lead single, Make Me, featuring G-Eazy, was a subdued mid-tempo track and unlocked the punch expected from a Britney comeback. It didn't create the excitement or buzz needed, only managing to peak at number 17 on the Billboard Hot 100. The follow-up single, Slumber Party, featuring Tinashe, leaned into the album's smooth vibe, but also struggled to gain traction, peaking at number 86 on the Billboard Hot 100. While it was undeniably catchy, it lacked the high-energy charisma of Britney classics like Toxic or Circus. Meanwhile, Glory contained numerous potential smash hits like Do You Wanna Come Over, with its playful energy, or Love Me Down, bangers. Either of these tracks could have rejuvenated her presence on the charts. The mismanagements of Glory's singles overshadowed what is arguably one of Britney's most creative albums. It was a commercial disappointment, which could have been way bigger. Blonde by Frank Ocean. Frank Ocean's Blonde from 2016 is widely hailed as a masterpiece, redefining the boundaries of modern R&B and pop. The album's introspective lyrics, unconventional song structures, and minimalist production created an intimate listening experience. However, the decision to release Nikes as the lead single was polarizing. While the song's experimental style and layered vocal effects encapsulated the album's spirit, it lacked the immediate accessibility to draw in a broader audience. Songs like Pink and White and Self-Control became the biggest and defining songs of the album with their lush arrangements, but they were never released as singles. Adding to the challenge, Blonde was released with minimal promotion and no traditional single strategy because of that was Frank's mysterious vibe. Songs like Ivy and Nights, both fan favorites that could have been perfect as singles with interesting concepts for music videos. The track list is full of songs rich in emotion and melody. It could have spawned chart-topping singles, but that was not Frank's vibe. Despite the unconventional rollout, Blonde has earned its place as one of the most critically acclaimed albums of its era. It is also commercially successful, being certified platinum in the US. But you gotta wonder how a different single strategy might have introduced Frank Ocean's genius to an even larger audience. Dita Joe by Janet Jackson. Released in 2004, Janet Jackson's Dita Joe faced an uphill battle due to the fallout from her infamous Super Bowl halftime show performance. The album, a sultry and experimental project, deserved more recognition for its boundary-pushing sound. Unfortunately, the single choices did little to counteract the controversy and highlight the album's strength. The lead single, Just a Little While, was a light, upbeat track that failed to gain traction, only peaking at number 45 on the Billboard Hot 100. While catchy, it failed to set the tone for what the project had to offer. I Want You and All Night Don't Stop followed, but struggled to make an impact in the media frenzy surrounding Janet at the time. Meanwhile, tracks like Strawberry Bounce and R&B Junkie were energetic and fresh, perfectly suited to recapture the public's attention, but were never released as singles. The album failed to reignite Janet's career. Dita Joe is now appreciated as an underrated gem in her discography, but its commercial underperformance can largely be attributed to its mishandled singles and external controversies. A more cohesive and daring single strategy could have rewritten its legacy, because it is a great album. Bionic by Christina Aguilera. Christina Aguilera's Bionic was an ambitious attempt to fuse electro-pop with her powerhouse vocals, resulting in one of her most adventurous albums. However, its singles failed to connect with the audience. The lead single, Now Myself Tonight, leaned too heavily on trends around that time and took it to a darker direction, with the visuals inspired by S&M. While it had the energy of a typical pop hit, it didn't perform as expected, peaking at number 23 on the Billboard Hot 100. Woohoo featuring Nicki Minaj followed, aiming to capitalize on Nicki's rising popularity, but it wasn't really radio friendly, so that limited its impact, especially for that time. Meanwhile, tracks like Elastic Love and All I Need displayed a more experimental side of the album, showing Christina's willingness to take risks. These songs could have repositioned her as a trailblazer, rather than chasing trends. Bionic suffered from a confused promotional strategy that failed to match its bold artistic vision. Despite its initial commercial struggles, the album has since become a cult classic as a forward-thinking and underrated gem. If it was released today, it would have become legendary. Kissland by The Weeknd. The Weeknd's debut studio album Kissland marked a transition from his mixtape trilogy to a more polished and cinematic sound. The album continued the themes of fame and hedonism with atmospheric production. While it has since been appreciated as one of the most underrated gems in his discography, it was a disappointment initially. The lead single Kissland was haunting and dark, staying true to his aesthetic, but its length and unconventional structure with those two parts made it a challenging choice for mainstream appeal. Belong to the World, the follow-up, leaned into industrial beats and a dystopian narrative that left casual listeners puzzled. Tracks like Professional and Adaptation could have served as stronger singles, and Wanderlust should have been the lead single, as it had that groovy 80s sound that would make him popular years later. It had the potential to draw in a broader audience without compromising the album's artistic vision. Kissland remains a cult favorite among The Weeknd's fans, but the single choices contributed to its lukewarm commercial reception at the time. The album deserved a rollout that brought people in, that pushed them away. The album could have bridged the gap and blow him up, but it all worked out in the end. 4 by Beyonce. Beyonce's 4 is a fan favorite album that highlighted her evolution as an artist, blending elements of R&B, soul, and pop into a cohesive body of work. Despite its artistic achievements, the singles chosen for its promotion didn't always align with its strongest tracks. The lead single, Run the World Girls, was meant to be the feminist anthem, but it got a polarizing reception. While its empowering message was good, its sound and repetitiveness led it to flop on the charts. There were way better songs to pick from the album as the lead single. Tracks like Love on Top and Countdown, which eventually gained recognition, embodied the album's innovative spirit. These songs showcased Beyonce's vocal brilliance and should have been lead singles. Instead, the initial focus on Run the World Girls overshadowed the album's deeper emotional and sonic layers. In retrospect, 4 is celebrated as a milestone in Beyonce's career, with many fans and critics acknowledging its influence on modern R&B. However, a more thought-out selection of singles could have made it a bigger success. Still, it is one of my favorite albums from that era. It has some of Beyonce's best songs ever. Which great albums with bad singles did I miss? Tell me in the comments below.